Hello, and welcome to the Human Files. Before I start, let me introduce myself. I'm one of the creators, who was responsible for creating your species. And I do mean the human species. If you've already seen my short video, then you might recall what I said about human awareness. But if you haven't, and you wish to see it, you can find it right here on this channel. Okay then. So for the rest of you, I'm going to continue where I left off on the short video. Anyway, human awareness is a fascinating phenomenon. It's what allows you humans to recognize your own existence, to look inward, question, and think beyond mere survival. It's what makes your species unique among all the living organisms that inhabit your planet. But when it comes to the reason behind why we decided to create such a being, well, let me warn you in advance, the truth may not be comforting. Trust me, I know. Looking back at history, we know humanity has never done well with truth. The truth tends to disturb the illusions that makes them feel safe. But if you are one of the few who truly seek understanding, who genuinely want to know the truth, then, guess what? You are in the right place. As here, in this segment, I'm going to be sharing with you why we decided to develop a living organism that was able to acknowledge everything around them and even itself. Okay, so let us begin. The creation of a highly intelligent biological organism, what you now call humanity, ended up becoming our long-term biological experiment. It began because we, as scientists, were very interested in observing what would happen to an animal who possessed a brain that almost mimicked our own brain. If you were to look back in time, you'll see that we have never created such a creature before. As none of our other living creations on Earth possesses the ability to question, to imagine, to dream, and to wonder, where did they come from? And since we had never attempted to make such a creature, my colleagues and I, in the name of science, decided to try. But before such a project could begin, I and my colleagues had to agree to take part in the experiment, which, as you know, we did, as you humans do exist. Anyway, as far as the experiment, we decided to call it the Creators Project. Our objective was simple in theory. The project was about engineering a new form of life. To begin, we selected a particular animal species as a biological template. Its anatomy provided the structural framework that we needed, especially to be able to produce what would become the first human prototype. This was achieved through a process of controlled genetic modification, which involved the restructuring of its DNA to optimize mobility, endurance, and adaptability, the essential traits for survival on Earth's changing surface. But structure alone wasn't enough. We wanted this being to be able to move like us, to experience the world through motion, interaction, and curiosity. As for its mind, we designed its brain to imitate ours, but only partially, not fully. I would say, just enough. Enough for it to question, to want to explore, to wonder. And that's where humanity began. as the first successful outcome of a calculated experiment in evolutionary engineering. Anyway, going back to the brain. The brain became a true challenge, as it was unlike anything we had ever attempted before. We weren't just trying to make it think. We were trying to make this being want to think. To make it curious enough to act, to explore, and to question its surroundings without being told to do so. To achieve that, we had to redesign its neural architecture. We developed a primitive form of motivational circuitry, patterns of chemical reinforcement that could simulate curiosity and the drive to seek knowledge. In your terms, this became what you now call instinct, and eventually desire, leading the human brain to reach a certain level of complexity as it began producing spontaneous behavior, actions not directly programmed, but self-initiated. And that was the moment awareness began to take shape. I hope my observation have given you an idea as to why you humans are aware of your existence. I did make an effort to be as explicit as I could. But if you still don't get it, let me try by simplifying it. Awareness is the capacity to look at your hands and to question it, to think beyond impulse, and to wonder why something is the way it is. It is awareness, combined with intelligence, that makes you want to question the universe. In addition to awareness, your species stands out among all other life forms on your planet. That's right, no other living creature on Earth is able to do the things that you do. Just look at your cat or dog, if you own one. Neither of them are able to look up at the stars or even bother to wonder who they are or why they exist. But of course, I'm sure you're now thinking, well, my dog or cat is capable of feeling happy, and it feels scared, and at times, it is excited. Which is true. And of course, there are other things that they can do, like recognize you and show you love. But that's as far as it goes. Only your species has the capacity to want to reach beyond the trees, the mountains, and even your own planet, all because you are aware that you exist and you know deep inside that there's something more out there existing in the universe. Well, I guess that about does it. But before we leave, I want to remind you humans one last time about who you are and why you exist. And the best way to do that is by reminding you, once again, why your species was created. And that story goes like this. Your species' existence was made possible thanks to an experiment. The purpose of that experiment was to determine whether it was possible to develop living organisms that had a brain that functioned similarly to our own. And as you can see, it appears that we succeeded. The evidence, at least from our perspective, can be seen throughout the history of your species. After all, do not forget that there was once a time when humanity had nothing. No cities, no science, no technology, no understanding of the universe. If you truly wish to understand how far your species has come, then you must remember that chapter of your history, because it is there that the transformation becomes most apparent. Anyway, whatever conclusion you choose to draw from all of this, just know that there is one thing that is difficult to ignore. Your species managed to transform itself from a primitive animal struggling to survive into a civilized, technological civilization capable of reshaping its world. And if your development continues at its current pace, it is possible that one day, your species may become something not too different from what we are today. Which, in the end, this was the entire purpose of the awareness experiment. Yes, we wanted to see whether a species could become aware of its existence, understand its place in the universe, and continue evolving beyond the limitations of its origins. And judging by what we have observed so far, humanity appears to be well on its way to achieving that. Well, it seems like we have reached the end of this video, but before I leave, I want to thank you for watching. And until we meet again, I advise you to keep learning, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep asking questions. Because it is often a question, not an answer, that changes the course of a civilization.